Hi leads, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Miriro and this is Miriro Moments. Of course, I'm really glad you clicked on whatever it is that you clicked on to join me on this video. Okay, so having finished my undergraduate studies at Wits University, I decided to sit down and really think about some of the major takeaways from that entire experience. And hopefully this video is going to be helpful to anybody who is starting university or somebody who is already in university currently. So the first point that I have to share is that you cannot do everything on your own. I think that when I got into university, when I started off, I always thought that, hey, I have to do this on my own. I don't need the assistance of anybody. My work is my own. I think I was also slightly competitive. You know how in high school and primary school, you're always thinking, I want to come first. I want to achieve this. There's prize giving and that sort of thing. So in as much as that still exists in university, for example, there is prize giving, people get into the dean's list. There's a lot of incentives of why you should work hard in university. I would strongly recommend that you actually get a study group or work with different people. For the first 3 years of university, I had a very consistent study group. We would meet and literally would sit down and study together. I remember would literally pray before we would study, and it was so helpful. I think it made me understand the work much better. So I would strongly recommend that you have a group of people around you that you can work with. I think also you need to establish whether you have the same work ethic, you're able to assist each other, because you don't want parasites in a study group, to be very honest. You don't want people who are going to come and they just want information from you. To work with people who are going to be able to contribute to your studying as well. But if you don't work well in a team or in a study group, that doesn't mean that you don't need people around you either. I think there's a lot that goes on in university. It might be different assignments that need to be done, different announcements that are made on your student portal and stuff like that. And it's always good to have a friend or a go-to person who you can ask, hey, so what's happening in this module? I need assistance with this. The idea is you cannot really exist in isolation within the university space. The second point that I have is be responsible. I know this might sound very obvious, but I have a story to tell. In my first year of university, I think I had just arrived in Joburg, and then registration was like 15 days before actual school started. And I remember my best friend and I went and lived our best lives. We went and like overspent at Gold Reef City. We bought food. We did a lot of things. And the money that I had been given that was supposed to last me the entire month, I think only lasted me like the first 2 weeks. So when I'm talking about being responsible, I think it's very important to be able to manage your finances, to be able to manage yourself, to ensure that you're able to realize the goals that you have when you enter the university space. And I think obviously it's a work in progress. First year Miri was definitely not the same person after 5 years of school. You know, you work on yourself, you learn. I remember I learned in the first 2 weeks when I was calling my parents, I'd be like, I'm out of money. And they're like, huh? Maria Pera? And I'm just like, I need more money. They're like, never again. So just be cognizant of the fact that you need to be responsible. You need to take care of your things. You need to manage your finances well. You need to be responsible for yourself, because technically this is sort of the first time for a lot of students to be independent. I know that, you know, when you get into university, some people are coming from boarding school, others are coming from living with their parents, but I think the atmosphere is very different. In boarding school, you still have people who are setting rules for you. You're still told to do certain things at a certain time. In university, nobody really cares. University is a time where you can really cultivate your responsibility. With that, I'll move on to my third point. You need to master time management and balance. There are so many facets to who you are and the things that you are supposed to be responsible for. So you have to look at long-term and short-term as well. So at the beginning of the year, I'm sure you get course outlines. You know exactly what's going to be coming at any point in the semester. So I would sit down and have a semester planner where I would plan the entire semester, knowing which days I'm going to be having assessments, how much they're going to count for, you know, and stuff like that. So basically organizing my life and my time, right? And then I would have the short-term time management sort of thing where Each week, I would then establish that this needs to be done by this time, and these are my priorities. On this day, I'm gonna be doing my laundry, for example. On this day, I'm gonna make time to have a cell group and lead a cell group. At this time, I'm going to allocate it to serving at church. At this time, I'm going to allocate it to studying. And obviously, time management is very linked to balance, because you might have a lot of extracurricular activities, but it's important for you to be able to balance those with your academics. The next point that I have is you need to choose your friends wisely. What I learned about the university space, like the world, is you will always find your people. I will tell you one thing for sure. Birds of the same feather will flock together. I think it's so important for you to align with people you know are headed in the same direction that you're headed. If you're ambitious, look for ambitious friends. If you are a person who is driven, look for driven friends. If you are a person who really values their academics, look for somebody who really values their academics. I have been around people who have conversations like, oh, you know what, 50% is enough as long as we pass, you know? And that's like the bare minimum that you can get in order to pass. But for them, it was good enough. And the longer you hang around people like that, the more you're going to become like them. Because in a group of friends, you're either going to be the person who is influencing or you are influenced in different scenarios. Know that your friends really play a major role in terms of the kind of university experience that you are wanting to have. So my next point is attend your classes and consult. This is so important. If there's anything my mom always used to say when I was in undergrad is mwanangu ziva zawafambira, and that basically means that know what you went there for, right? So if I'm going to university, I am going there. The sole reason why I am there is to be able to obtain my degree. Everything else comes secondary, right? And as a person who is very social, who is always involved in a lot of things myself, I had to learn to prioritize and know that come rain, come thunder, I need to attend classes. In as much as there are going to be resources that are uploaded on your student portal or whatever, there's a difference when you're actually present in the class and when you're actually hearing the lecturer explain different concepts and how you're supposed to respond to different questions in exams. One thing I also learned is that lecturers require different things. They might favor a certain style of writing, a certain way of responding to a certain concept, and when they explain it, you sort of understand, and that's going to help you to excel in your exams, in your assignments. When you miss it, trust me, even when somebody else explains, it's a little different. One thing that actually helped me, if maybe I had to miss a lecture or something along those lines, would be to ask a friend to record the lecture for me so that I can hear firsthand what the lecturer was actually saying. The other part of that is beyond just attending classes, you need to consult. I really started valuing this towards the end of my degree. So my penultimate year and my final year, I used to consult a lot. In fact, in my final year, my mentor said every 2 weeks. 2 weeks is even like a few times. Every week, you need to be having a conversation with your lecturer about what you've been studying. In my final year, I would go and consult about something that I already sort of understand, but I just want to have a conversation and have like the lecturer's attention drawn to where maybe I might be falling short. So my consultations sometimes even sounded like, so this is my understanding of this and this and this and this. Am I correct in that understanding? So it wasn't necessarily that I had a question, but rather I just wanted to make sure that I actually knew what was being taught in the classes. The sixth point that I have is you need to be intentional about building character. You also now need to step out and realize that beyond the IQ side, beyond the academics and everything, there's so many opportunities that exist outside of the classroom that are going to stretch and grow you as an individual. Take up a leadership position. Start conversations with people who are different from you. Learn about the different cultures. I had to start conversations to learn and to grow. And I think that's so important. Have extracurricular activities, attend church, meet, know people, be intentional about building character. Those workshops that student governance will have, If you have time, attend them. The next point that I have is have fun. It's that simple. Live. I think it's so important to embrace each and every season of your life, and university is one of those times where you look back and you're like, oh, I really enjoyed myself. The next point that I have is you need to learn how to deal with failure, right? And it comes in different forms. One thing that you can't do is to sit and wallow about certain things that have already happened. You can't grieve over spilled milk. So if you ever face failure in university, it's so important to be able to pick yourself up, re-strategize, reset, replan, and keep it moving, right? So how university works is usually you will have different course marks, right? And then you're gonna have the final exam that's gonna contribute to your overall mark. Every single portion of work that you submit counts for something. So once you fail and you continue to be at the bottom, you don't pick yourself up, that's gonna affect every single thing. Separate yourself from the experience of failure. The last point that I have is you need to take care of your health. Don't neglect your health. When I was in university, at times I was so prone to just thinking, I need to push. I'd be pulling all-nighters, and then I get into an exam and I am just blank and my head is turning because I didn't have enough sleep and I didn't eat healthy. I was snacking the whole time. So you need to understand that you are responsible for taking care of yourself holistically. Ensure that your spiritual wellness, your physical wellness, your emotional wellness, your mental wellness is all taken care of. So thank you so much, Leet, for joining me in this video. I really do hope you found it useful. If you are in university or you're about to go to university, I wish you the very best. Toodles!